Hello everybody, welcome back to the cabin. Welcome back to Commonwealth. Flipper, thanks for joining us today. I'm going to attempt to talk about something today at some point in this video that I've been avoiding for a while. I've got more questions about this, more misconceptions, more misunderstandings than just about anything over the last month. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to take some time here. As I wrap up my selling for the year, you're seeing this much later because I actually took a break and I shut the eBay store down. By the time you're hearing this, I'm back. The eBay store is back open and we're running full speed. But I figured this is a good time of the year to talk about this. In a macro sense, it's about the future of reselling and the trends that are going on. And in a micro sense, it has to do with the platform that I'm involved with, at least in some capacity at this point. I want to get into the details of that, but I'm going to save that because this video, as always, as all my videos are for all the critics out there, they're always about what's sold, and it's 99%, well, 90% what's sold on eBay, and that's what we've got today, although I think we have 2 items that went out on other platforms. Let's go take a look. And we are going to do a giveaway as well today. This is kind of sad that it's leaving. I don't even remember how much I paid for this, but it was not much. I think it was a $1 table. And I saw Scrooge and I'm like, holy moly, that thing is awesome. This little picture frame plus a pin holder on somebody's desk. And I think there was 0 comps out there for this one. I put it out there for 40 bucks. It took a couple weeks and it sold $40 plus shipping. I forgot to tell you, we're going to do a giveaway today as well. I'll do that after a few more sales. You may also remember that I ran a 30% off sale. And one item I probably should have kept off of that. I had it a little overpriced, but it wasn't $30 overpriced. And it's a Scotty Cameron head cover, if I can find it. There it is, right in front of my face. I'm pretty sure this is the one, the milled putter head cover, and it ended up selling for, I think, just under 35 bucks for that one. When I was in Florida, and you haven't seen all these videos yet, I picked up a giant Flintstones bundle. And this was my favorite item out of there because I figured it would have no comps. Whoa. And it didn't have any comps. It's this pool, this Intex pool, vintage Flintstones, but it also had these little, what do you call these things? I don't know what you call those things. I should know it, but I don't. It's the armbands, but they're called something else. Water wings, right? Isn't that what they're called? And I put this out there for like 65 bucks and sent an offer pretty quickly for 5% off. Sold for $62 plus shipping. This already puts us in the profit, and we have tons and tons of Flintstone stuff left to go, selling across all platforms. I figured the Damn It dolls would slow down a little bit after Christmas. I have no doubt they will, but we sold one here. And this is a jungle doll. And it sold for $12.95 plus shipping. See if that's it. Yep, that's it right there. And it sold to a viewer. We had no viewer sales for a couple weeks, just hardly any. And then we had a ton right before Christmas. And then it slowed down again, which kind of makes sense. So that one's going to Terry. Terry, I appreciate it. $12.95 plus shipping. Time to run inside. And I had a little cat come in first. Sold a nice little Falcons jersey here. New tag. I think it's ruddy white. That sold for $70 plus shipping. Had to dig through the hat bin here to find this particular hat. What is that? Must be a hat in a bag. This one we grabbed down in Florida as well, but you'll notice we did not clean it. I said in the video, if I cleaned it, probably get $30 for this hat. $40 maybe if it's just perfect. Did not clean it, paid $3, sold it for $22 plus shipping. Pretty cool hat right there, and it was made in the USA. Sold to Ricky. Love watching your channel. I've learned so much from you. I watch the Trash to Cash podcast all the time, and now I'm a hoarder of plush. Thanks, Dave. My eBay store is weedk_38, WEIDK_38. Thank you, Ricky. I hope you enjoy it. Remember, Ricky, Dave buys a lot of that plush because he sells it on, well, he buys it because he's crazy, but he sells it on whatnot. I usually try to differentiate in my videos if I'm buying something specifically like that. I'll say it as much as I can anyways. I swear they were in here. Maybe they're not. I'm looking for some Ford pins. There they are right there. Now we're selling these off in lots of 3. We are in the pure profit at this point, so we are under our stated goal of like $15 plus shipping for an item. But you'll notice this one wasn't, but it was multi-quantity. I think I just closed it. These newfangled things, boy, let me tell you. I can't ever figure them out. There you go. I did it. You got to squeeze it. All right, 3 of these Ford 50th anniversary pins sold for $10 plus shipping. And you'll see we've made a few sales already, and we have a bag of them. That ties in a bit with what I want to talk about later, which is kind of how reselling is shifting slowly and changing slowly, and what's the outlook for certain platforms and the possibility of new platforms and stuff like that. This is a raccoon. This was something I picked up because it's a puppet, but it's also could be like a club head cover, and it was super cheap, and I just grabbed it. I think that's where I can't even remember where I got it, to be honest with you. And it doesn't meet our $15 requirement, but I figured it would be much easier and would still demand a certain amount on eBay, and it sold for $12 plus shipping. And I forgot to mention the other reason I bought it is because I don't think it has it in it. Yeah, there it is. There's the tag. It's a Dakin raccoon, and I love Dakin stuff. And I usually buy it anyways because I like it so much, even if it doesn't quite meet our requirements. But I just love Dakin stuff. Let's do the giveaway really quick, and then I'll pull a few more items as quickly as possible, and then we'll dedicate the rest of the video to the topic and discussing what I wanted to talk about. 925 Thrift, we've given these away before, and I realized I didn't give them away before Christmas. I kind of forgot there's a few of them over there, so if you're looking for a New Year's resolution to start finding sterling silver and even gold out there that I keep usually, I don't sell it, but some of it I sell. 925 Thrift, RE Gold, thank you. You can find these anywhere. He gave them a bunch of us to them, and people have enjoyed them quite a bit. So if you put 925 down there in the comments, you'll be entered to win. 2 videos from now, we will give it away. And I got to thank Randall for getting an Enaman. And like I said, we had 29 of these left. We're getting down. We have maybe, I don't know, 20 or so left. And Randall grabbed one. And hopefully in the new year here, Randall, this guy gets things moving for you. The next item ties in directly with what I want to talk about. Well, I want to talk about a few things, but directly with one of the things I want to talk about and kind of provide clarity on. Pound puppies sold over there on dibdit.com. I just decided to do an experiment and put these pound puppies over there on an auction and see what the heck happens. There's a cat in there too. And that's what I did. And I was pleasantly surprised that an auction over there with a limited amount of people got $28 plus shipping. It went to Stephanie Troyan, I think the last name is Stephanie. We appreciate you very much, and they're good. They're clean for the most part. There's some minis in there, and I hope you enjoy it. Back to the Mustang items. I need to put that up, don't I? And this time it's not the pins, it's the cards, which apparently I have in a different drawer. So it's these cards down here, and we decided to get to our $15 level. Not only would we sell the cards, 50-year anniversary of those, we got multiples, we've already sold 3 I think, but we are also throwing in one of the pins so we could get to $15 plus shipping. At this point, it's all pure profit. Go from one item that sold not on eBay to one more item that did not sell on eBay. We got another cross-listing sale, if I can find it. It is down here. It's a Quagmire. And there it is, right there. Getting to the point where I don't have to dig too much. This one sold for $25. $24.75 actually. There's a little bit of a discount on it. Plus shipping. Here's another one that didn't meet my requirement, but as you know, I am a lover of all things 80s and definitely single stitch t-shirts from the 80s, and I grabbed this one at that unbelievable sale in Tennessee a couple years ago at this point. And well, not quite that long ago, I guess. Single stitch USSSA. It's a softball shirt, and I just love it. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna list it. And it sat around forever, but it did sell. Screen Stars tag, made in USA, and it's just got that awesome vintage looking feel. $11 plus shipping. Sold a G.I. Joe item back here, and I guess we're not really keeping track too much of them anymore, but I put this one on there. It is going to be in here if I can find it. And I did find it. The case was back up against the wall. I had to grab that out. And Short Fuse sold. And this one sold to Thomas. $35 for that one, plus shipping. Thomas says, love your channel. I've been selling on eBay since 1998. Wow. It's longer than me, 3 years longer than me, and still like to watch other OG sellers. After seeing vintage toys for over 25 years, this is me right here. I just recently started collecting my childhood toys and displaying them. I'm 51 and had this little guy in the 80s. Glad to support you, my friend. So, P.S. Yeah, we throw stickers and everything, Kyle. So, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm the same way. I never collected anything. To be perfectly honest with you, did not have the money to collect a darn thing. And the more and more I'm around some of this stuff, I find myself collecting a little bit, which leads into what I want to talk about in just a second. But I think we have like 3 more sales we got to get through. Sold this vintage Cowboys jacket right here. And the brand does matter on these, y'all. This is not a great one, but it is made in the USA. I think it is anyways. Little pullover Cowboys jacket. Stitching on it's not even terrific, but it's an old school one, satiny style. And it's been hanging around a while, $37 plus shipping. And the last of the 50-50 charity auctions are coming in. And by the way, 50-50 charity auction means that half of the sales price goes to St. Jude and half of it comes back to us to cover some of the cost. Like, for instance, I'm into this for, let's say $17. This one, I'm losing money on this one, but I'm still giving Reagan money and St. Jude's still getting money. And so that's, I've had some people ask about that. Hey, Wallen, I'll get you a treat in a minute. There's Wallen right there. That's when he's sweet. But he's not so sweet all the time. So thank you to, who's this? James. Up the Attic Staircase. That's an awesome eBay name. I love that, James. Thanks for your donation. Last minute sale came in right here. A couple of nice realistic wood-sided, I don't know, tabletop speakers? I don't know what you want to call them. These are in really good condition. Usually stay away from this stuff unless it's small, and these are small. And these sold for $55 plus shipping. One more quick item that's got to head out of here today. This Trendmasters bell system here, Christmas Magic. I've never sold this one before. It's not like a Mr. Christmas, but hey, still sold $35 plus shipping. I know this is hard to believe, but we have a few more sales since I recorded that last part. So we sold another Jack plush. I'll show you the picture over here because I got to go in my attic to get it. I thought we were all done for the season. 40 bucks. Free shipping. We're making about $19 profit on average. Also sold one of these. Was it DeWalt? Yeah, DeWalt walkie-talkies. I saw this sitting in a sale for $1 and I'm like, it's got to sell, right? DeWalt's a good name. Looks like it's great shape. $35 plus shipping. And we sold another Damn It doll. One of the Grinch style Damn It dolls. And it is maybe the last one. Maybe. Looks like. Went to James. It says repeat buyer, James. I think you bought something the other day. I'm assuming you are a viewer. So we appreciate that. That one sold for $15 plus shipping. And it does say it's the last one. And we sold a Marvin the Martian keychain. And I always have a hard time. That's it right there. We have so many of these, like hundreds of them. I'm thinking about putting them over there on that Dibdit and putting them over there for $10 free shipping, which is a little cheaper than here because people can use that. This is going to take me forever. People can use that credit checkout. Commonwealth, code Commonwealth for $5 off, and you can get these for $5 free shipping. I think that's what I'll do. Just looking to see, it's repeat buyer Tom. So Tom, I'm going to thank you as well, assuming you are a viewer. Yeah, I also thought I'd throw this in really quick. Tortuga Treasures. I think that's right, David. I've seen you for many, many years. Just wanted to say thank you. Check this one out. 2010, the year we made contact. Very, very cool. Of course, it didn't happen, but I appreciate that, and I do not have that one, so thank you. All right, y'all. First of all, you're going to have to forgive this ridiculous hairdo right here. My wife said, there is no way you're filming a segment looking like that, and I said, watch me. I'll go do it. So here it is, and I'm going to put a hat on in a second. Whenever I'm speaking to folks on different platforms, my dog's out there barking, Reagan's feeding the chickens, I'm always acutely aware that the audience is very different. Like, for instance, I've said this before, I'll say it again. This right here, the Commonwealth Flipper channel, I feel like these are my people. You are my people. These are resellers we're talking to. And that really makes a big difference in what I'm going to say in just a minute. I feel a lot less self-conscious now that I have this hat on. So, listen, I've mentioned multiple times on this platform that me and Dave and Carrie, the Trash Cash crew over there, we open a marketplace on District, dibdit.com. I've said that many times on here. But what I've never done is ask people to go join it and to go sell over there. There's a reason behind it. And I am going to ask people to join it, say like on Facebook and different platforms. But I want to talk generally just a second in a macro sense about reselling and reselling platforms. And then I'm going to explain myself with dibdit.com, because there's a lot of folks out there making comments attributing to me, or at least associating them with me, that just simply aren't true. And I want to clarify them just a little bit. In 2023, eBay was by far my biggest selling platform. It will be the case in 2024 as well. In 2025, I can't imagine it changing. And as a matter of fact, for the last 20 years, 22 years at this point, eBay has been my #1 selling platform. And I think it will continue to do so. So eBay isn't shrinking, y'all. eBay continues to grow, especially outside of the United States. And I love the fact that they're doing things with international shipping, and they're taking care of all the red tape, and there's more and more mounting red tape when it comes to that. Now, that being said, even if eBay is steadily growing, or maybe just growing a tiny bit, they're still losing market share. And I don't think that's debatable at this point. There are a ton of other reselling platforms. Whenever I talk about them, I try to be pretty specific about them. You know, I do sell on Whatnot. I think we've done 14 shows total on Whatnot in the 2 years we've been over there, most of them in the last 6 months. Now, I sold more on eBay this year than every year I've ever sold except for one. So this is my #2 eBay selling year of all time. I suspect next year on eBay I will sell, if everything's in place like I think I've got it in place, I will sell more on eBay than I've ever sold on eBay before. But at the same time, it is a smaller percentage of my overall sales, because I did sell on Whatnot, because we did expand selling on multiple marketplaces. I think in every marketplace I sell on, I sold more this year than any other platform, or excuse me, any other year, if that makes sense. So every single platform that I sell on, I sold more this year than I did in previous years, with the exception of eBay, because 3 years ago we had an insane year and we put a ton of time into it. But that's kind of the point I'm trying to make here. You don't hear me tell people on here, hey, you absolutely should sell on this platform, this platform, this platform. It's a different decision for different people. It fits your lifestyle. It fits your model. 95% of people, I really believe this, who are reselling should focus their time and attention on eBay. Now, this is also disregarding Amazon. I'm not an Amazon seller. I realize there's a ton of money to be made over there, but they're kind of out of the question, right? eBay's the big dog, even though we all realize Amazon is the largest online marketplace. But since I have been getting so many questions about dibdit.com, as I mentioned, a few sales that we make over there, I want to clarify a few things. I thought I'd just say it coming from me so you can hear it from me. If you don't believe me, that's your prerogative. You can believe whoever you want to out there. But at least I'm going to tell you why I didn't do this and why I did do this, and let you make your own mind up. Maybe I'll do two things first. Let's just, for those of you who don't know at all what it is, District is an online, it's a backbone for online reselling, is essentially what it is. It doesn't have its own marketplace where they sell anything and everything. What they have is a ton of marketplaces who usually sell niched down items. For instance, I found one the other day. I think my heater just kicked on. I better turn it off. I found one the other day in District, on the District platform, if you will. I don't remember the name of the marketplace, but all they sell is granny square stuff. That's it. And I'm like, I thought to myself, maybe I ought to start selling my granny square stuff in that district right there, in that marketplace. Now, at the time, or at this time, it's not a huge marketplace, so I don't know that it's the best place for me to even spend my time putting things in there. But at the very least, it is a very niche down marketplace, and you'll get a lot of eyeballs. Not a lot of eyeballs, you get a few eyeballs, but they're the right eyeballs looking at your item. And I mentioned that because I want to get into that in just a second, but before I do, let me just say this, because I've actually heard people say this, and it just simply isn't true. So they are either lying or they're misinformed and saying things far out of turn. I did not get paid a dime. District did not write me a check period. Didn't write Dave a check or Carrie a check or the Trash to Cash podcast. I would tell you if they did. They did not. $0. And to some degree, I understand that people would say such a thing because there are platforms that do write checks. And, I've turned some down in the past. I remember Mercari did this quite a while ago, and I really wasn't a huge Mercari seller, and I didn't want to be a huge Mercari seller at the time. I subsequently later did start selling a little bit on Mercari. But at the time, I wasn't going to do an ad and say, this is the best place to resell, because I wasn't doing it. And I didn't want to do it, and I didn't believe it was the best place to resell. I didn't think it was the best place for a lot of people's time. But if I would have taken a check, I would have told you I took a check. So I did not do Dibbed for that reason. I've got a whole list of things that I did not do it for. Another one is I did not do it to become the next eBay. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm not stupid. Right? I don't have pie in the sky thinking, oh, I'm going to start my own reselling brand and my own reselling platform and I'm going to be the next eBay. That's ridiculous. That has not been our intention, never has been our intention whatsoever. Just on a side note, Dibbedit.com will never become the next eBay. Now, that's not to say another platform can't rise up, and District as a whole, meaning the whole collection of all the marketplaces that are niched down into certain communities that are communicating, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, so I don't want to get too far out of turn here. But it's not to say that something can't compete against eBay someday. And I hear this all the time. And there used to be a book I used to suggest to my AP World students, Things Fall Apart. There was a time when people thought Sears would be the greatest thing in the history of free market economics from here to eternity. And where is it now? Toys R Us. Blockbuster Video. We could go down the line over and over. And there will be a day when the big dogs, yes, even Amazon, won't exist the way they exist today. It will happen. It might be in 50 years. It might be in 200 years. I promise you, it will happen. So the idea that people say nothing will ever compete with somebody like eBay, that's very true in the short run, but it's not true 50 years from now. That's just simply not true. It never happens that way. Almost every institution in the history of the world has disappeared at some point. I did not do this to get rich. It's ridiculous, and the numbers I hear out there are even more ridiculous. I will talk about numbers here at the end of this. This video will probably be going on a while, and some of you may not want to hear this at all, and that's perfectly fine. And to be honest with you, a lot of you don't need to hear this, because you're perfectly happy doing what you're doing. It's succeeding. It's ramping up. And you don't need to do anything different. I'm not asking anybody to do anything different at all. But just for the record, so that when you hear things out there, I'm going to say this. In Dibbedit.com, the fees are 10%. 5% goes to District, the backbone for all the support and all the tech. And then 5%, so 1.67% to me, same to Carrie, same to Dave, 2.9% processing, so there's 12.9%. I get 1.67% of every sale on that platform, and there's not a ton, and I'll go over the sales here in a minute, but that doesn't even apply to sales that Dave and Carrie make. I always like to use a couple examples. Here's Josh, Mojo Dojo, and they're over there selling, and they've made a few sales. They've been fairly successful so far, and a lot of people haven't been successful at all. And that's kind of what I predicted for quite a while on Trash to Cash podcast. This is going to be a slow roll, which is why I'm not asking people to come over there and sell. At least at this point. There has to be an audience before you get sales. Resellers selling to resellers is ridiculous for the most part, although there are places to do it, and I'll show you an example here in a minute. But let's say he's got some pretty great stuff. Let's say he sells a $100 item, which is obviously not something that happens every day. He sells a $100 item. If I get 1.67%, y'all can do the math. That's $1.67 over there. So like I said, I'm not exactly an impulsive person. I'm pretty calculated. I make decisions over time. I don't see the new flashy object and run to it. If you saw me doing whatnot, you saw me do a whatnot. To be honest with you, the first reason I did that whatnot was because I wanted to get my name over there. I didn't want anybody else to take my name, my identity over there on whatnot. And I did a show early with my buddies. This is working on almost, boy, it's getting close to 2 years, I guess. March, well, you can do the math. It's been a long time. And then I didn't do a show for literally a year. I'm not somebody that jumps on something early. But there are some reasons why I decided to do this collaboration with Dave and Carrie, and I'm going to explain those to you here in a second. But before I do this, let me finish my little laundry list here for clarity, just for my own mind, so I can deal with some of the things I hear sometimes and want to jump through the computer. I don't need anybody's money, y'all. Everything we get from this audience is amazing, and we appreciate it very, very much. For instance, I don't need to start this site to sell to viewers. We sell a ton to viewers. It's to my own detriment sometimes that we sell to viewers. If you read in different places about me, about resellers, about whatever, is they can only sell to resellers, or they can only sell to their viewers, and I don't need this. If I want, I can sell to viewers right here. We do it every single day. I could sell to viewers on CommonwealthPicker.com. I can list items on there and pay no fees whatsoever. I can sell on Whatnot to viewers. That has zero to do with it. Trying to make 1.67% of a sale has zero to do with it. Now, I'm not going to say that I would do it completely for free, but at the same time, there's not that much money in this. When you look at the numbers here in a minute, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I also hear all the time, this is a pyramid scheme. It's anything but a pyramid scheme. District, me, Dave, and Carrie, and every seller. That's it. That's the two levels. And how is that any different than eBay and the stockholders and all of us? It's zero difference whatsoever. So that begs the question, why did I do this? And there's a whole lot of answers, and I'll try to go through them systematically, but this first part might shock you. Well, some of you it won't if you've watched me long enough. I love to do collaborations. It's the one thing that I don't get as much of as I used to. I've always done this my whole life. I love being part of a team. I have been a part of a baseball team. I was a part of a baseball team since I was 5 years old, either playing or coaching and playing. That happened a little bit, or coaching multiple teams throughout the year. And I did this I played until I was in my early 20s, 22, I believe, 23 maybe, I think. And then after that, I was a coach until I was in my 40s. And it's always been a part of me. I did National Honor Society, which is a collaboration effort in all kinds of different projects. I enjoyed that. I coached a high school baseball team for years and years and just enjoyed getting people together, all the right pieces of a puzzle and going somewhere. So a lot of people won't believe this, but I think the people who understand what I'm talking about will believe it. It is part of me. And if you watch what I've done on social media, I do it with a ton of people. I mention those people. I build friendships with those people. I love it. I love building something like this because I can't build much with my hands. I don't have that creativity. I don't have that knowledge. And it's an outlet for me. And this is hard to believe, I suppose, but I enjoy doing things with Dave and Carrie as well. Both of them are incredibly talented people. I know we don't always talk about that, and we're not kind to each other on the Trash to Cash podcast. But they have skills that I simply do not have. And I hope that I have some skills that complement their skills. And I thought this is an interesting opportunity to do something collectively that you can't do. Take Whatnot, for instance. We can take these audiences, and this goes to what I was talking about earlier. My Facebook audience is extremely different. Most people over there, a vast majority, I would say 90% of the people who watch Facebook are not resellers. And so I've used that. When we talk about these viewer sales, a lot of the viewer sales are coming from Facebook people who are not resellers. I'm proud of that. We're bringing people to the reselling platforms as buyers. That helps me, but that helps most of you too. You've seen people like Carrie and his multiple different audiences on different websites, different social media platforms. He's bringing people into this world, some as resellers, but a large majority. I mean, let's face it, the people that are watching us on TikTok, most of them aren't resellers. Facebook, most of them not resellers. And here's one that people don't get either. Commonwealth Picker channel, Dave's picking channel. The picking aspect of it is watched by people who aren't really resellers. And so we've used those audiences to build up are Whatnot, for instance. And Dave's built a massive one, and I've built a massive one. I mean, I don't know about massive. It's not massive compared to some folks, but 10,000 people on a Whatnot is pretty darn cool. And Carrie's been doing this for years, so we thought, boy, if I could do this on my own, and Dave, what could we do collectively focused around the type of items that we all love? What could we do if we put our efforts together? And it's more than that, because I've built relationships and friendships with so many people that have so many talents that are different than mine. They have audiences that are different. So many of you out there I've built relationships with over the years that can add something to this collaboration. Now, it is niched down, so it's not exactly selling anything and everything. It's selling, well, I don't know how to summarize. You got to go look at the stuff to kind of look. But for me, it's 80s, especially 80s nostalgia. For Dave and Carrie, it's more 90s nostalgia. And we've added some people in there that are bringing nostalgic type things for the now generation and the next generation as well. And there's some stuff from the 70s, and there's some stuff from pretty modern era, but it's all nostalgic, kind of pop culture type items. And there's folks out there on social media that we've asked to help us in this early phase to try to build this thing and to bring their audiences who are not resellers. The ultimate goal is to create an audience that doesn't just benefit me or Dave or Carrie, but benefits other resellers as well. We're not there. We won't be there for a little while, which is why I'm not asking people to go sell over there. I value your time as a reseller. I value your effort. And if you're going to go list 100 things over there and you sell one in the next month, I don't know it's worth your time yet, but there are so many cool features that we think are the future. Matter of fact, we know it is at this point, because we're starting to see those other platforms start to implement the exact same things. People are buying differently now. That's not to say they're not going to buy on eBay. People will always buy on eBay. I talked about searchable buyers versus experiential buyers, and I think that's one thing that's undeniable. There is a new way of buying. Just like in, when I was a kid growing up, I would go to the mall all the time to buy. If I wanted to buy something, I went to the mall to get it. And I would pay higher prices because I was a kid and I didn't understand the value of money and even the necessities that needed to be taken care of. And now I have my kids and I watch my oldest boy, and he's very frugal, but I'm like, whew, man, I couldn't pay, retail price for this thing at a department store, at a mall or whatever. And I watch him, and I watch my daughter as she's growing into her teenage years here, Bubba's girlfriend. I watch young people, and they're buying on social media platforms. I'm like, that is something I never did. And essentially that's what Whatnot is, right? And they're not looking at eBay, and I'm their dad, for goodness sake. And so I think that part of the market share for reselling is actually going to grow a little quicker. That is not me saying eBay is dying. It's not dying. It is still the best place to sell. It will remain the best place to sell for a very, very long time. And I'm over there on TikTok, reluctantly, but I'm over there. And I see TikTok Shop, and I hear from people that are actually doing TikTok Shop and how it's driving massive traffic with certain age groups. And those age groups are expanding into older people because they're used to buying that way. And even Amazon, look at Amazon, and there's, I'm not going to mention the creators that used to create in the reselling space, but now they're creating videos for Amazon to help move products. Social buying and video buying and all that stuff is changing right in front of our eyes. And I'm going to choose not to ignore it. I'm going to choose to pick my spots and continue to do what I love. And that's the last point. Well, I don't know if it's the last point, but it's the major point I want to make here. If you watch my channel over the last year, you probably saw a few ups and downs, and you didn't see the behind the scenes where I was extremely worried that my livelihood, eBay, was going to be gone. It was a tentative time for me for a while, and there's a lot of concerns with stuff. I've talked about them on here. I'll continue to talk about them. It's still out there in the news, lawsuits here, and people are losing their ability to sell, and they've been kicked off of these things. This is my whole livelihood, buying things and selling them, taking the content of me buying those things and selling those things on this channel, and making money off of the social media as well as the purchase and the sale of the items. And so for me to have my fingers and toes in all these different places to a small degree is strategic. It's a hedge against my bets a little bit. And I'm perfectly willing to do that. However, I'm going to continue to dedicate most of my time to where I make most of my money and to where I get the greatest enjoyment. And this kind of stuff here, the stuff that I sell for the most part, and I sell everything. I mean, I sell necessities, I sell all that. Let's just face it, you know, if you're going to put a vacuum cleaner up for sale, you're going to put that thing over on eBay. You're not going to put it anywhere else, I wouldn't imagine, unless you're doing cross-listing and it's automated. So I'm going to continue to do those things, but I also have grown into a point in my life where I actually enjoy that nostalgia from the 80s and some of the 90s, but let's face it, it's the 80s. And so I enjoy this. I bought most of my Christmas gifts that weren't brand new items. I bought them over there on this new site. And I ended up with a whole ton of extras for me. So we're talking about making money. No, I'm not, but I'm actually trying to give back to a lot of resellers, and it's easiest to do on this platform. I bought a ton of old wrestling stuff. I've given it away. I've given some to my brother for his birthdays and his Christmases in the past, and he's going to end up with more of this over the years. I'm also doing a little bit of collecting of a few minor things, but I'm able to buy from other resellers really quickly. And I've literally gone into the chats and I'll say, hey, does anybody have X? And almost every time the answer has been yes, and they've posted it and I've bought it from them immediately. It's something I've always struggled with because so many viewers give us so much, y'all. There are just, all that stuff back there is from viewers. This, well, there was a box here earlier. I don't know where it went. People send us stuff all the time. And you know, I'm incredibly grateful for it. And so I've gone on in the past. I've said it on this channel. Hey, you know, post your eBay store here and let me go look at it. Over there in Trash to Cash Facebook group. Post your eBay store here. If anybody has this item, I've bought things from people over there. This is making it easier to connect socially with the people that support you so I can return that support to them. It's also another way to take resellers that I know. I'm going to give you one example, and you've probably heard me talk about Alicia, the inked picker, when we did the live event over there. It's like Whatnot, because it's a live event, except for it's not on one person's channel. It's for the whole marketplace. And so everybody was in Dibdit, who was a seller at the time. There's a lot of people who have applied, and we just haven't got to them yet. And it's going to be a slow process, for sure. So don't get offended if you haven't been approved over there. We're not asking for people to sell at this point. What we're doing is trying to find the people who enjoy this niche. That's the first priority for us over there. There you go. And so we said, hey, we're doing a live event, and we're going to have Dave start it off, and I'm going to come in the middle. Carrie's going to be at the end, and we got some other sellers that we know. We talk about the RIN boys and how great resellers those guys are, and they jumped in on there. And we had Mojo jump in on there. CVA Thrifts jumped in on there. A lot of people with some moderate social media followings. Do you have a social media following? Say, not yet, but I will. And we had Alicia jump in over there. I was hoping to find a few people that had zero social media following whatsoever that had tried Whatnot, and it was a difficult hurdle because you're alone over there. In this case, if you bring the right items to the right niche here and to the right eyeballs and do it collectively, it's much more beneficial. So all the people that complain, hey, you got to get out of there. No. You got to go. Come on. No, I know you don't want to go, but you have to. Oh, my goodness. All right, I got rid of one. This one's much calmer. I'm distracting my message here, but I was hoping to get a few more people that nobody out there recognized. Now, Alicia does not have a large social media following, but she jumped on in that sale, and she's got a great personality, and she has great items, and she's a great picker, and she had a ton of success because she was part of a collective, part of a collaboration of live reselling, and she was selling static items out of her store as well. I think we had 4 or 5 static items sell from other sellers during that event as well. And that's the kind of thing that I'm like, okay, this is what I'm not going to tell people I'm doing this because I want to help other resellers out. But let me tell you, it is a big part of it. I'm not going to say that because people don't believe it, but that made me extremely happy. I see so many. I can name some of you. I've gone and watched your Whatnot shows, and the criticism like, oh, Whatnot's only for social media people. It's 90% true. It's 90% true. It is extremely difficult and sometimes expensive to build a live selling platform unless you're drawing from something else. I've always been honest about that. But now I think in this type of setting, it is very possible. And it's not just dibbed it. Think about it this way. I just bought an entire shed full of glass. And I'm not a glass seller. I don't even have a tremendous amount of knowledge. But if I can bring those items to, say, Jocelyn, if you're listening, Crazy Lamp Lady, I'd love to sell in your marketplace and I'd love to sell live. Just a little attempt at trying to get in over there. If I could bring items that fit somebody else's niche to their marketplace, I'm going to sell them in there. I'm not going to sell glass and dibbed it. Doesn't fit the niche. If I can bring, reseller lots, I have literally 15 boxes full of t-shirts out there. I could sell them off by themselves in boxes over on One Stop Shop. I could sell my granny squares over there in that granny square one, which I don't have a name for, right? And there's a wrestling one, and there's a, Boston Red Sox one, or whatever it is. I don't like the Red Sox, by the way. Sorry, Boston folks. But it's not as complicated as you think, because people hear that and they say, oh, I don't want to sell on 50 different platforms to get the niche. District's the backbone. You just simply sell and you click which marketplace you want it to go to. It all comes back to your account. You're really selling in one place on District, but the items are going to the right marketplaces, to the right niches, if you get approved to sell in those different niches. That is extremely revolutionary. To me, the magic comments are revolutionary. The collective live reselling is amazing, and that's the one last point I wanted to make. I have plans to travel a lot and to sell while I'm on the road. And I'm not going to get into any other selling platforms at this point, but it is much, much easier for me to do this. Much, much easier for me to do this, to sell my own things and to allow those around me, people I don't even know, to sell their stuff that I may have met for the very, very first time, and to do it collectively in a collaboration. And so there's a lot of things that are going on. I don't expect everybody to be like, ooh, this is amazing and whatever. But I think it's going to be a bigger part of my business. So this year, it's obviously not. We just started. We're about a month old. It would not surprise me that 10% of my sales come from different district platforms next year. And it would not surprise me if it grew over time. And we've sold about $6,000 worth of stuff, have, over 1,400 members, people that just enjoy the same kind of stuff that we do already in just a month. I'm trying to think a year from now, probably 80% of my sales will still be on eBay, a little bit more over here, maybe some on this platform or that platform. And it's going to be something that is going to slowly grow, but there's enough tools in this toolbox here that I think it's really interesting and really exciting. I almost forgot to mention two things that I really like. Well, one that I don't like, they don't have an Android app yet, coming soon. But the other one is a simple little thing that most people don't care about, but it's important to me. So just like I've been saying that eBay should really encourage sellers to bring new buyers to the platform, I think that they do a pretty poor job of that, to be honest with you. They don't reward sellers for bringing their own buyers to the site. Whatnot does, and I think that's a good thing. But over here on dibbed.com, they actually, if you bring a new seller, they get a $5 discount if they use not just my code. Every seller has a code over there. And so if they use your code, they get $5 and you get $5. That's the kind of thing that I think that somebody like eBay would really bode well if they gave every seller over there a code, and that they got a reward for bringing a first-time buyer and the buyer got a reward too. I think it's something that should be implemented over there, but it probably never will. So I thought I'd mention that really quick. I keep putting the camera down. I keep forgetting other things. So this is not just a selling platform. And this is the kind of the main reason I really liked it, because I really, really enjoy the Discord. I started using Discord when I was a teacher way back in the day. And I would see other history teachers use it to get kids ready for the AP exam, because it's just a place to communicate. And I love Facebook groups because it's a way to communicate and share things, your successes, your failures, your tips, your tricks, all that stuff. And I also like the live selling experience because it reaches a market that eBay doesn't necessarily reach. And I obviously love eBay because it reaches a massive audience. So essentially that's what this thing could be. It could be a complete grouping of all of those things. So in my mind, this thing is a Facebook group that also has selling in it. It is a Discord that has communication and relationship in it. It is an eBay selling platform, static selling, auction selling over a week or over whatever time period, and live selling. It has all of it combined into one. It's very intriguing. Two last things. Nothing's going to change here for this channel. I'm going to do what I've always done. I'm going to buy items that are in one market, going to arbitrage those items, and I'm going to sell them in another market. The market I sell things most on is going to be eBay. I'm not going to put whatnot sales in this show. I never really have. I've mentioned it from time to time. And I don't know how much I'm going to do. I'm not a huge live seller. I don't really enjoy it that much, but it is part of my business model now, and my family really enjoys it because that's the kind of stuff that they're doing right now as well. I'm going to make another little prediction here, and this is not with Dave and Carrie's consent, so this is me jumping out on a ledge. Let's see, we've sold 6,000 in a month. That's, you calculate that out, that's about $72,000 in sales over the course of a year, but it just started. It would not shock me if Dibdit.com sold $500,000 next year. Would not be surprised. And maybe we'll come back at the end of December, you know, early January next year, and I'll look at the numbers and I'll tell you. And it's just going to be something that's fun. And I hope that the people, really the only people that it makes sense to do anything with over there are people, if you just want to come and check it out, are people that enjoy the kind of stuff I've talked about. There are other niches. There are so many people over there who are experts in certain niches. There might be a district over there that you could find, but that doesn't mean you should do it, right? If you're going to be listing here and listing there and doing all this, it takes time. And it all comes down to the bottom line. And so I don't ever suggest people do something that's not good for them, either something they enjoy or something economically good for them. So I've said a whole ton today, and a lot of people probably tuned out at this point, and some people have unsubscribed, and that's perfectly fine. But I just wanted to set the record straight on a bunch of stuff, because you will hear me say, hey, just like I say, this is a cross-listing sale. I sold this on Bonanza. I sold this on Mercari. I'm going to say I sold some things on Dibdit. And I've only listed like 15 things over there, y'all. That's it. And then we did that live event. And that'll probably grow this year, but it won't grow by an absolute ton. It'll grow. I might, you know, list a few hundred things over there, I suppose. And I'm excited about it. So thank you for listening to me ramble and let me get all this out there. And we'll go back to regularly scheduled programming next video. Thank y'all. Hope y'all are having a wonderful new year, and I can't wait to see you next time.